The most expensive document in a failed government project may be the warning that arrives too late. That is the lasting lesson from Immigration New Zealand's Biometric Capability Upgrade. The technology mattered, and the money mattered. But the deeper New Zealand story is about the road between a public department and its minister. A minister can be questioned in Parliament about an agency. A chief executive runs that agency. For this division to work, difficult information must travel upward, while it can still change a decision. In 2026, an internal review examined more than 400 documents and conducted 43 interviews about Immigration New Zealand's biometric projects. It found a long chain of warning signs. The upgrade was eventually discontinued in December 2025, after years of delay and about $35 million in estimated cost. The original problem was real. Immigration New Zealand uses an identity system to hold authoritative identity information about non-New Zealanders. The old platform became operational in 2016, but parts of its biometric technology dated from 2012. It was complex, expensive, and required more manual work than intended. Modernizing it could have made identity checks faster and helped detect fraud. This was not a foolish goal. Many failed projects begin with a sensible need. The trouble grew in the space between the goal and the system chosen to deliver it. Business cases were prepared in 2019. The review found that their assumptions were too optimistic and their supporting analysis was too thin. In August 2020, the work changed from an upgrade into a full replacement of the identity platform. That large turn happened without detailed business requirements, enough due diligence, or proper testing of the gap between the proposed product and Immigration New Zealand's needs. Then the changes multiplied. The project recorded more than 170 operational change requests. Requirements, development and testing began to move at the same time, instead of in a clean order. Fixes sometimes created new defects. Go-live dates moved again and again. None of those facts alone explains the public failure. Large technology projects are uncertain. A good governance system is not one that never meets trouble. It is one that makes trouble visible early enough to choose. That is where New Zealand's public service conventions become important. Ministers set policy priorities and answer politically for their portfolios. They do not personally manage every contract, software test, or staff decision inside a department. Departmental chief executives are responsible for the performance and operation of their agencies, for advice to ministers, and for efficient use of public resources. This is a division of labour, not a war. The Cabinet Manual uses a simple phrase for part of the bridge between the two sides. No surprises. Officials should promptly tell ministers about significant portfolio matters, especially matters that may become controversial or enter public debate. The public service also has a principle called free and frank advice. It means advice should be timely, robust, politically neutral, and honest about costs, risks, uncertainties, and consequences. An official may need to challenge a minister's preferred view. The same duty also requires officials to challenge optimism inside their own organization. Free and frank does not mean dramatic. It does not mean sending every small technical problem to the beehive. A minister would drown in detail. It means carrying the decision-changing fact. Suppose an independent reviewer says a project may not meet its launch date. That is useful, but it may still be a problem for the project board to manage. Now suppose repeated reviews show unstable testing, unclear requirements, rising costs, and a product that may not fit the organization. The facts have changed category. They are no longer only delivery details. They affect whether public money should continue to be committed and whether the minister can honestly explain the project. The biometric review described 9 external reviews and 1 internal health check over the life of the work. Most said delivery might still be possible if major risks were actively managed. One review in October 2023 rated the project as unlikely to succeed and warned that the planned launch date would be missed. The project was paused the following month. It later resumed. By December 2024, the approved cost for the biometric upgrade had reached $34.4 million, with another $8.53 million attached to the related in-person enrollment work. Further delays and unresolved defects followed during 2025. The internal review reached a hard conclusion about the information chain. It said ministerial reporting had sometimes been overly optimistic and had not always represented the true condition of the project. It also found that important governance decisions were made without clear records or the right scrutiny. A separate investigation into what information reached ministers was still underway in 2026. Its outcome should not be guessed in advance. The internal review already gives the public a wider lesson without deciding any individual's intent. Accountability needs information before it needs blame. If a minister learns the real condition of a project only after most of the money is spent, Parliament can still demand an explanation. But the most valuable part of accountability has already been lost. The chance to make a different choice is gone. This is why an independent report is not merely another attachment. It can interrupt the natural optimism of a team that has spent years trying to make something work. It can give a governance board permission to stop. It can give a minister enough evidence to choose between more money, a smaller design, a new supplier, or an exit. Stopping is not automatically success. Continuing is not automatically courage. The real test is whether each decision uses the best information available at the time. The public cannot sit in every project meeting. Most people will never read a software change request or a ministerial weekly report. New Zealand therefore relies on a chain of professional duties, accurate records, independent assurance, clear governance, free and frank advice, and no surprises. Each link sounds procedural. Together they decide whether a warning can still save money. When Parliament asks a minister to answer for a department, 2 separate questions should remain in view. Who had the power to act, and when did they receive the fact that should have changed the decision? A red warning inside a ministry is not yet accountability. It becomes accountability only when it reaches the person who can no longer honestly call the light green.